players right now that you feel are on the hot seat as far as, hey, listen, we like you, but you're not Ryan Poles' pick. You're not his guy. We know how when GMs come in, they prioritize their guys at certain points. They want their guys on the team that they're putting together. I think that Roschon Johnson might be a guy that is pushing for this starting running back job, possibly before this season is over, because of what you just laid out. And that would mean Khalil Herbert and or Deontay Foreman are the odd man out here.
Yeah, and we look at it too. I mean, you look at the Bears, right? And you look at last year. You look at David Montgomery got carries, Khalil Herbert got carries, Tristan Ebner got carries. Who else was here? Darrington Evans got carries. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So they're not afraid to put somebody in the backfield if they're producing. And that's the way it goes. You know, if you're a running back and you got the hot hand, well, guess what? They're going to keep feeding you. They're going to keep feeding you. You know, so all of these guys, you know, in that backfield or in that running back room, they have an opportunity. You know, so right now, you know, Tristan Ebner, I see a Roschon Johnson, you know, drafted in the 4th round. So you got to say, you know what? He's going to be here. Yeah. He's going to be here. So now you already know football's about a numbers game. So you already know where you're at on that in that pecking order. So he has to look next to him and say, you know what? I know it's between me and Travis Homer. Deontay Foreman's going to be here unless he just doesn't have a great preseason. Yeah. You know, Khalil Herbert's going to be here. So, you know, Tristan Ebner and Travis Homer, they got to go out there. They got to be, you know, special teams mavens. They got to go out there and just, you know, run that ball till the wheels fall off, you know, because they're going to be competing with each other to earn the right to be in, you know, in that running back room when the season starts. And, you know, I'll go even further. You talked about Tyler Scott and, you know, some of these other guys. I mean, look at the wide receiver room. It's a crowded room. It's a crowded room. I mean, Darnell Mooney's coming back off of injury.
Which is a good thing, by the way. Let's point that. Good thing, right? Like, hey, it was bare last season. We was like, is anybody in that room?
I'm trying to tell you. Justin Fields is like, hey, Justin Fields is like Chipotle right now. He can give me a little, let me get a little bit of Tyler Scott. Let me get a little bit of DJ Moore. Yeah, let me get a little bit of EQ salsa right here. Yeah. So he's got his pick, you know what I'm saying? But I think the biggest, in that room, right, when we talk about players being on a hot seat, and I'm not going to say not necessarily being on a hot seat in terms of making this team. I think he'll make the team just because of the reason that you said, being a Ryan Poles pick. But I think Velus Jones is on the hot seat. I really do, because you look at it like this, right? Look at this, Pat.
Hey, I want y'all to hear this, because when I said it on my video this morning, everybody was at my head. This is a professional athlete saying this.
I think he's on a hot seat to produce, because let's look at it. He was up and down last year, right? He showed flashes of big playability, but then we also saw what? The muff punts, the drop passes, you know, things that you can't have if you want to be a playmaker in the league. That's why DJ Moore is here. That's one of the reasons why, because we didn't have enough productivity coming from that wide receiver room, from that position. So, you know, I think he's on a hot seat. You bring in a Tyler Scott that can take the top off the defense. Darnell Mooney's coming back off injury. You know, I'm not going to say he's on the hot seat, but I think they want to see, how are you going to come back? You know, now you're facing adversity. We talked about that with Tommy Harris earlier. You know, coming back off the injury and going through that is tough. You know, as a player, you know, it's one thing to go through the rehab, another thing to go through the mental hurdle that you have to go through to get back on the field. But I'm gonna be quite honest, it sucks as a player having to sit there on the sideline and watch your teammates practice every day. Yeah. It sucks traveling to a game, sitting on the sideline, watching your teammates play and perform. And it really sucks in this profession if you're sitting there watching your teammate or watching other players in your position group have success, because guess what? That shows management that, hey, you know what? We may not need this person. We may not need this guy. So, you know, Darnell Mooney has to come back and prove to this organization and prove to, you know, Poles and the front office people and to his teammates that, hey, you know what? I can regain not just the form that I had prior to me getting hurt. I can surpass that and take the next step of development and really live up to the potential that I have. So, you know, I look at that receiver room, it's crowded. You got Dante Pettis. I mentioned EQ St. Brown. You know, I don't know how many guys are going to keep. I think usually they keep 6 receivers. Yeah. And majority of the ones that aren't playing are going to have to be special teams guys. So Velus Jones, you know, punt returner, kick returner, you're going to have to excel, because last year you didn't excel in that role last year.
I just don't see a role for him. And it's not, listen, I want every player. Like, I think people are weird that are just like, he sucks, get him off of my team, blah, blah, blah. And I do have the reason I don't live call Bears games is because of there's a clip out there of me just like fuming at Velus, yelling to cut him in the moment after he muffs a punt in the Washington game. Oh, I was so mad. It's the reason I don't live call Bears games, because like I'm very emotional when it comes to Chicago Bears. Like I see somebody, I used to see Julius Peppers holding somebody. Full grab, right? He ain't hold him. Man, you put the flag away. He ain't hold him.
I'm gonna tell you a story, right, about my dad, right? And my dad, Big Mac McKie, right? Military guy. He's my role model, my hero to this day, right? And watching a football game with him, or even after a football game, I'll either get a call from my dad, or even if he's watching the game, he say, "Man, you know what? I could have threw that. I could have made that tackle. I could have broke that tackle." And I'm here to say, I'm here to say, Dad, they would have knocked the snacks out of you, Pop. So I get it.
Listen, I ain't that bad. I never think you know what did it for me though? I will say this. I did at one point believe like, I could make a 5-yard pass until oh my God, I can't think of his name. I think it was last season or 2 seasons ago, before Denver got Russell Wilson. Yeah. They had a receiver who had played quarterback in college step into the game. And this man couldn't complete a pass to save his life. I said, that's the dumbest thing in the world I've ever said in my life. Like, I was like, come on, bro. It's a pitch play. You can't pitch it, bro. You can't. Hey, bro, that's the dumbest thing in the world. I'll hold that one, right?
Hey, that 5-yard pass is easy until that 275-pound DN that's way faster than you breathing down your neck. It's really easy.
You know what I mean? But I say all of that to say, right, I be wrong sometimes. But I say all that to say, I don't see I want the best for Velus. I think it's weird people that are just like, I hope that you fail so that you're off my team. Like, you're a weirdo. Stop. Like, he wears a Bears jersey. He's your guy. But I just don't see a role for him. Like in the special teams game, I got Dante Pettis. I've got Travis Homer. Those guys have done it already, and they've been successful at that. Dante Pettis was successful at it last season. I think that's why he's back here. In the receiving game, I do have Tyler Scott above him on the depth chart, because I think Tyler Scott's a guy, big body, tall, good hands, and he can absolutely take the top off of defense. We know Justin Fields loves deep playability. I think that Tyler Scott might be the steal of this draft by the time it's all said and done. So, like, I just don't see a role that Velus plays on this team, unless it's just like the Tariq Cohen gadget guy.
Yeah.
Maybe I could see that for him, but how many plays a game is that?
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, like it's to the point to where, like, we know in this league every year in training camp, there's somebody that just comes out of the woodwork that you don't know about, that wasn't talked about, that may not have been drafted high, that just exceeds all expectations, right? And I think Velus Jones, obviously there's potential for him. He has a lot of potential. And the expectation for him was to be that playmaker. So I think this is, more important than ever, a time for him to show. He's got to show that ability every single day in practice. It's got to start in OTAs. It's got to start in OTAs right now. It's got to carry over to minicamp, and he better put it on display every single day at training camp. And then he's got to take it to the preseason, because I think, like you said, despite being a Poles guy, you have to show them that you have that ability. And obviously, they're not confident because they brought in extra guys. We need more. Let's bring in DJ Moore. Let's draft Tyler Scott. You know what I'm saying? We need guys that can make big plays, that has big play potential, for our big play quarterback. He needs help. And you got to be, if you're not one of those guys helping, you're going to be on the outs watching.
I'll give you one more guy. This is my long shot guy, but I do think that it needs to be addressed with Tyreek Stevenson joining the team. I think Jalen Johnson might be a guy. I like Jalen Johnson. I like what Jalen Johnson can bring, but Jalen Johnson is about to get paid. Yeah. Right, like at some point they're going to have to pay him, and that is coming up very quick. They went out, they got Tyreek Stevenson, 6 foot, 198 pounds, good hands. He said he has some issues with sometimes recognizing what the play is, but he has really good ability breaking on the ball, getting a hand in the play. Jalen Johnson, wow, the first season they didn't throw the ball at him a ton. The second season, they did throw the ball at him. And there were some pass breakups. He played people tough, but I feel like so many times it was like Jalen Johnson played this really well, but they made the catch.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at this defense, right? It's it's a mirror image of the Lovie Smith defense, right?
Yeah.
And back on our defense, what did we excel at? We excelled at takeaways.
Yeah.
Takeaways, right? That's
Which
the
one
beauty.
is your favorite?
Yes, yeah. Like, how many interceptions did Jalen Johnson have last year? Who knows?
Last year. Did he have one last year? Or was that from the year before? He's only got one career. He's only got one career.
Thank you. Yeah. One. So, you know what I'm saying? When you're looking at, I think that's a great point you bring up, because when you look at this, right, in terms of, what type of salary he's going to command, that's going to be the thing they bring up. Well, look here, you have one takeaway for your entire career. Yeah. And you look at all the great great cornerbacks that we've had, in this type of system. The Nathan Bashers, the Charles Tillmans, the Tim Jennings, you can go on and on of the lineage of great cornerback play here in Chicago. What did all those guys excel at? Takeaways. I mean, Charles Tillman still has the peanut punch that everybody's teaching, and the phrase is coined off of that, because he either forced turnovers or he got takeaways. Nathan Basher's nickname was the interceptor because he did what? He got takeaways. You know what I'm saying? So I think you're right. I think another guy, on the back end or at cornerback is Kendall Vildor. He's a guy who, you're going to have to compete now. You got Tyreek Stevenson, a guy they brought in the second round. What are you going to do? They got some other young cornerbacks that they like as well. So, here's a guy who, what are you going to do?